Before I say anything, this is my first Reddit post. I don't really remember every detail of this event. Sorry if it goes from event to event really fast. So one day in 2020, I don't remember the specific month, my mother left the house for a day, so I was the only one there, and I was just sitting in my room when I heard a whisper of my name. And it was a very tiny, quiet whisper that was straight in my ear. After that, I started crying and got really creeped out. So I went to the bathroom to collect myself and to try not to overthink it and just to calm down overall. So I walked to the bathroom and I was already on edge, so I ran to the bathroom and then slammed the door behind me once I got in. Right when I looked in the mirror, I heard the whispers again, but this time it started out quiet, and every time I heard my name, the voice got deeper and deeper and deeper vocally, and deeper into my head like it was in my ears. After that happened, I was freaking out. I called my mother crying, and when I told her, she didn't act worried as if it was okay. I also have another thing that happened when I babysat my youngest brother, and this also happened in 2020. But I also have no idea when. While babysitting my little brother, he came into my room and told me he was hungry. So I went downstairs with him, and when we got to the kitchen, I stood behind him when he was in front of the fridge. But I felt breathing on my neck and felt my name. I don't know how to explain how I felt my name, but that's the only way I can explain it. I immediately started crying and told my brother to go upstairs and got a knife and went around the house checking every room. Sorry if this was kind of long, but it feels good to get it off my chest since the only person I have told didn't take me seriously. I have no idea if it was a ghost, spirit, or if I'm just crazy. Edit. So it's like 3 to 7 days after I first posted this story, and I was thinking about it again. And I remembered that I did the Ouija board with my stepdad and his friend down in the woods near our house. And I didn't remember when I first posted this because I always thought they were just playing a joke on me, or was just doing it to scare me since I was 10 or 11 when they let me play it with them. I just thought they didn't want me playing with them since they were grown adults. Anyways, when we did the Ouija board, we got into contact with Zozo. I'm sure some of you already know who that is, but if you don't, here's a little summary. He is an ancient demon who communicates with people via Ouija board. And if you say his name while you're playing the Ouija board, he apparently possesses you. Which is why I'm a little off-putted by this theory, because I have done some research and I haven't seen anyone that has had him attached to them. And I feel like I've only had minor stuff happen to me and nothing big like other people's stories. I feel like it's something I just don't know what it is. I also have another story from 2018 when I was 9 that happened in my grandpa's house, and that's what really scares me because I didn't play the Ouija for the first time until 2020. I mean, I did play a piece of paper one in 2017, and after that everything started happening. It's not like it worked or anything. At this point I think I'm just overthinking all of this, and maybe I just get scared easily. But if you want to hear the 2018 story, just comment, because I feel like that one was way scarier than the 2021. Hi, it's curiousraven. I want to tell you that you can make a Ouija board anywhere. It doesn't matter. So the one that you made out of paper could have easily opened up some type of thing for a bad spirit to come through. They're very dangerous. That's why I will not have a Ouija board in my house. They're dangerous, and they will haunt you. Because you never know who you're actually talking to on the other side. I specifically did not say the demon's name more than once, because I am not bringing that negative energy around me. I hope you find some type of answers. I'm very sorry that you might have something attached to you. Maybe go see a medium or someone that could possibly confirm it with you. Good luck. The experience when I was a child. It's hard to write the events that transpired from my mind into a post, so I'm doing the best I can, so sorry if it's badly written. When I was a child around 4 years old, I started having nightmares about an old man who would give me nightmares every night. I wasn't a child that needed attention all the time, since I was a silent child who didn't disturb anyone. One night I would cry for my mom and tell her the exact description of an old man that wanted me dead in my dreams. It turned out that I was describing the old owner of our house, who I had never met or seen. After a couple of weeks of this, my parents got tired and asked for a babysitter while they went in town. This part was told to me by my mother, so it might not be exact. My mother went to some friends who informed her of our old house's owner had recently died, exactly a month ago, around the time I started having nightmares about an old man who I described perfectly as the owner of our house. My mom made some links in her head and realized I wasn't having nightmares, but was actually being haunted by the old owner. My mom, not knowing what to do, opened all the house's windows and told the ghost that this wasn't his house anymore and hasn't been for years. She told him to leave my family alone. After that, I never had another nightmare about him since recently. Since I have moved out of my house, I've been having these nightmares again. So could someone tell me how I could get rid of them? Curious Raven here. Have you ever tried to do sage in your house, like burning some sage? Have you tried what your mother did? Open all the windows of your new place and stand firm and tell him that he has died and that he needs to leave you alone, and he needs to leave, that in the name of God, he needs to leave, that he is not welcome in your house. That's the only real advice I can give you. I'm sorry. So this is a wild story. My neighbor was a woman who drank a lot, did a lot of drugs, and had a lot of money. Let's just call her Jane for this story. I wasn't too close with her, but sometimes she'd want company, and I'd get high with her, or she wanted company going to the store and would buy me whatever. One day, she comes to my door after recently being discharged from the psych hospital. Jane was already high and drunk and basically tells me we're going out and we're gonna party, etc. And I agree. Long story short, after going to the bar and drinking, she wanted some cocaine and kept talking about it. I, at the time, was an addict, mostly abstaining from street drug use, but was taking methadone and was familiar with the drug spots. And since she was just going to spend hundreds and give me a bunch of money for myself, I told her that while I can't get coke, I can get crack. She was okay with that. So we went to the west side of Chicago. On the way, her BMW security system activated because earlier she left keys in car and climbed through the sunroof to unlock the car and retrieve the keys. Out of nowhere, the wheel locked, and we had this whole ordeal. The panic of that incident transformed Jane into a fun-loving drunk to a violent, belligerent one. She went from being sweet to being like an exorcist, and this transformation occurred as we were in the hood, a mile from the open-air drug market. Somehow I managed to make the deal go down without her creating a scene or drawing attention from police, etc. I picked up like $100 in crack and $100 in heroin. We got in the car and she started speeding and talking about suicide. I was so freaked out because I couldn't persuade her out of the insanity. So I pulled out the drugs so I could at least calm my nerves with opiates. before the inevitable crash or arrest. Jane demanded to use when she saw me pull out the bag. I tried to explain to her that we had no crack pipe and we couldn't use it yet. None of that goes through to her, and she ripped the bag out of my hand. Unknowingly, she grabbed a bag of heroin, ripped the stop with her teeth, and snorted it. Shortly afterward, we finally crashed when she failed to stop at a light and rear-ended a young man in the heart of the ghetto. The crash snapped her out of her insanity, and she rushed over and gave the man $50 and some weed. His car wasn't damaged, and he understood by our dialogue we had drugs on us and needed to dip, so he accepted what she gave him, and he even helped calm her down and bring her to the car. After that, I was allowed to drive, and I could see the drugs were taking effect, and she was falling into a blissful but conscious state. When we arrived back home, I walked her home and left all the drugs, knowing she had too much. At this point, she was still conscious, and as far as I knew, she had none of the hard drugs we just picked up, but did have alcohol and the Xanax she prescribed. After that night, I hadn't seen her for about a week and was nervous something happened to her. I googled her name and found out she died that night. It hit me so hard, and after that I started regularly using again. One day I was smoking outside weeks after all this happened, and 2 police detectives arrived at my place. They were there together because they got access to the ATM camera where we withdrew money from her card. I told them pretty much everything, but left out the part where she grabbed the heroin from me and snorted whatever she was able to stuff up her nose while she was driving, frantically speeding down the road, raging on about suicide. The detectives left and told me they'd get back in touch after they got toxicology report and do a further investigation. A few days after that, I was smoking a Black & Mild cigar and filming myself blowing O's. At the time I recorded myself, I was completely alone on the patio and it was totally silent. I didn't immediately rewatch the video because when I did, I noticed the sound of a woman's voice whispering closely to the mic saying, "Hurry up, say it." It took no time at all for me to realize whose voice that was and what she wanted. She wasn't a heroin user and only used accidentally while drunk and raging. When detectives returned a few weeks later, I made a point of telling them. They recorded a video of me telling all that happened for her family. The overdose and heroin use was an open question and confusing them, so it all fit with my intuition and the words captured on video. I lived in an apartment complex and she lived above me. Since then, things fall over all the time. Lights turn on by themselves. The weirdest incident was I walked in the bathroom and the shower curtain was rapidly shaking, and I ran out thinking a rat was in the bathtub, but nothing was there. Sounds of footsteps are ever present late at night. I warned friends about it when they stayed the night, and every time, every friend that stays will say they hear strange noises and footsteps. I put the ghost voice video on YouTube, which I have linked. Listen closely and you'll hear a woman whisper, "Hurry up and say it." I will go ahead and play that video here. Hi everyone, it's Curious Raven again. This gave me chill bumps. I'm very happy that you helped her and you cleared up a lot of things that happened with her family, because they would have been in agony for life, not knowing what really happened to their family member. So I'm happy you did the right thing, and I hope you're doing better yourself as well. Last night I was having trouble getting to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I sensed someone outside my bedroom door. I turned my head to look and saw a tall, shadowy figure standing in the shadows of the darkness. The figure then spoke to me, very clearly, in the voice of my next-door neighbor, and asked, "Do you have any tobacco?" I was half asleep and confused, and angrily so rudely replied, "No, I effing don't," and the figure silently moved away. A second later, I hear the front wooded door open and close, but no screen door, or my neighbor's doors. We live in a semi-detached unit, so our doors are very close, 8 meters. And as we are very good friends, he often pet and house sits for me, but he has never just let himself in when I'm home. I lay in the bed angry for a bit. Then as I fully awaken, I realized my front door was locked and deadbolted, and the screen door also locked. My neighbor did not have my keys. He had given them back after borrowing my car earlier in the evening. Goosebumps crawling all over, I go to check my doors. Locked safely as they had been when I went to bed. Yet I have one footprint that looks like someone turning on the spot. I didn't think you could move or talk during sleep paralysis. I have experienced other paranormal activity, yet this was such a non-threatening but still alarming experience. Very different to anything I've seen so far. Please convince me I'm not going silly. Raven here, you're not going silly, because I really do believe that a ghost popped in to say, hey, do you have any tobacco? And it might have been a Native American ghost, because that's something that they cherished and used a lot back in the day. They say that if you put tobacco out and offer it to the spirit, they usually will make peace with you. So maybe you can try that, especially since they asked for it. I hope this helps. One time, I saw this person in my doorway staring at me. I never really told anyone about this, but it's always something I remember because how she smiled at me. It made me feel less scared. It was almost as if she was trying to tell me my mom was fine, and she just couldn't hear me. It's also something I learned from a young age that not all ghosts are scary or out to harm you, and I've always appreciated that thought. Raven here. Sorry this does not have a lot of details to it. It is still really creepy that she saw a ghost in her doorway, and the ghost was there to let her know her mom was okay. So I'm guessing that maybe her mom passed away. I hope you are doing fine. Here is one of my fave ghostly experiences. I rarely tell because it actually happened on Halloween night, and I'm like, no one will believe me. I was staying in former dormitory across from the offices that were occupied during the day. I absolutely adored the historic building, 1920s, and a lot unchanged in the room. I was alone except for the janitor every night, who came at about 10 p.m. and was gone by midnight. I had a double room with a shared common area in the middle and empty bedroom on the other side of the common area. I closed my bedroom door and proceeded to read a really spooky book to be in the Halloween mood. It was about 2 a.m. when I started to hear what sounded exactly like someone at a desk writing on the other side of the wall. I mean, what I experienced was like chair moving and shuffling of papers around that literally were not there. And the actual space that the sound was coming from, there was no desk. Just a little counter with an old TV and adjacent coffee station. I was really glued to my mattress as this went on for what seemed like forever, but was probably about 20 minutes. I stayed wide awake for at least another hour and a half, but finally had to go to the bathroom and had to open the door to the common area and go down the hall. I prepared myself to actually see a person, even though I really felt like it was a ghost. But it was Halloween, and I was like, I am probably being so ridiculous, scaring myself. And who knows, it's like a loud mouse or something. Still, no rationalization really made any sense. I never experienced anything again in that room except for a feeling sometimes, especially when I first come into the room. It was always like somebody else had just walked out. Curious Raven here. I don't know, maybe it's a student that wants to be left alone, a ghost student, or a ghost office worker, and when they sense someone's coming in, they just leave until you leave. That's the only thing I can think of. That's really creepy though. Hello everyone, my name is Enora, and at the moment I am 11 years old. but this story started since I moved into a really creepy house, since I was 4 years old. I am a girl, passionate about paranormal, and spend my life on the horror thread, Squeezy, Noah, etc. In short, my house has an attic in which I sleep with my sister, and a cellar. Except that this house is very old, and there is a lot of noise. But you see, when you are alone at home and you hear footsteps in the living room, this is not reassuring. At one point, I came home from college, so I opened my door and had a bad feeling. I was dead of fear. But like every Friday, I have a friend who comes, and we work. My friend, who we will call Max, comes to my house and we start working. Max, he is used to coming to my house and he knows my house very well. And there he tells me there is something which is not normal. At this moment we are stressed, as I do not know what. We hear the noise of not coming from my room. We break from home without a shoe, without a coat, just portable and a key from my house. But with Max we have a talk, is that we must automatically turn off all the lights. So we enter the house, we take all of our things, and there we break. I specify that I close the door. And I heard a little laugh, and since then I have never had bad feelings again. I don't know if there was really anyone inside my house, and I'm never talking to my mother about it. I would also like information because yesterday I and my friends found a key, type old model with paper stuck on it, and the message gives, "A golden key opens all the doors." At the claws of the lion. If you have any ideas what this means, please tell me. Thank you. Hello, Inora. You have such a beautiful name, by the way. Yeah, that is creepy. Figuring out that you walk into your house and it just doesn't feel right. And then as you leave, you hear something laughing. That's really creepy. With the key thing, I have no idea. That's some crazy mystery. I hope you can find something out. Hi, this is Curious Raven. I just want to tell you that I am so happy, that I am so sad Octoberspook is ending. I hope you enjoyed this long video of all the paranormal stories. I want to thank all the Redditors who allowed me to share their story with you. Please have a safe Halloween. Love y'all so much. Please stay tuned. But until then, remember, it's scary out there. Like and subscribe.